Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of LitiCast. We've got a special one today. We are joined by Ryan Colbert, the CIO at Morgan & Morgan. I'm John Robinson, VP of Growth here at Litify. Dove Slansky oversees our solution engineering team here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you, guys.
Good to be back.
So we are going to be talking about something very interesting today. For those of you who already are using the Litify platform, those of you who have not yet made the jump to Litify, we're going to be talking about a very interesting piece of customization and automation that Ryan and the team at Morgan & Morgan built, leveraging Docrio, which is Litify's document management platform, as well as some customizations to the Litify platform. We're going to talk about why this was built. We're going to talk about how they built it. We're going to talk about how you can build it for your own firm, whether you are on Litify or not. So thank you again very much for joining us. Ryan, why don't we just briefly tell us a little bit about your role? What does it mean to be a CIO at a large law firm?
Well, I think the CIO at a large law firm really varies a lot from region of the country and size of the firm to the culture of the individual firm, right? In my case, I think anything that plugs into the wall or runs on batteries or otherwise has electrons flowing through it is ultimately my responsibility. So it's my job to figure out how to make all of these things work well together and empower our users to be the most efficient and most productive employees possible, no matter where they're working from.
Excellent. And we talked about this right before we went live, but you are in Orlando right now.
Yep,
right?
Sunny Orlando.
And you have how many offices across the country?
Right now, probably about 65 or 70. We're constantly growing, though.
Everyone is using Litify?
A lot of the firm is using Litify, yeah, for various aspects of things, from some very basic reporting all the way through full case management.
Excellent. What we're going to talk about specifically today is an integration that you built to help optimize both incoming and outgoing direct mail, right? Kind of the opposite of what a CIO would normally be focused on because it is a non-digital component of the law firm. But you've made it digital, right?
We've made it paperless. So we just have to deal with less paper ourselves.
Yep. And this is what we're going to be talking about today is really on the outgoing mail side, right? But you've also done some incoming mail automation. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have. Through a partner of ours in Atlanta, all of our incoming mail for our largest office is scanned for us. They go through and they do some OCR and some machine learning against that mail and try to identify the case that it's associated with and automatically route it to the right people inside of the firm that needs to get that piece of mail. By virtue of that, it's automatically associated with a case, and then it ends up being published into Docrio as the document management platform for us.
Yeah, so Ryan, I'd love to touch a bit about that process over there, because that is something that a lot of firms in general, I think, would love to have, right? I think the days of pushing a mail cart around the office are, or at least should be, well behind us, both on the incoming and outgoing side. So what you did on the incoming side is fascinating. On the outgoing side, I think perhaps what I really want to focus on today, I think even more so, because it's taking something very distributed, right? It's taking all of the different staff at the various offices and taking their mail process and using some of the features that we built in Docrio. You've been able to take this dynamic aspect of creating a letter or any type of document, sending it to one centralized place for mailing. So I guess if you could talk about the impetus behind that, right? Why did you feel it was necessary, and why now? I guess I know Docrio was just released, so you finally probably took some of the shackles off some of that mail process. But if you could talk a little bit about why the impetus to do it now.
Well, I mean, physically dealing with anything in part of the legal process is an expensive undertaking from both a time and a labor perspective. By taking this and transforming it from a paper process that we have to deal with into something that's all electronic, really empowers our users to do what they need to do from anywhere in the world that they happen to be at the moment. You could be reviewing a letter that your secretary has produced poolside with a Mai Tai in your hand and approve it, and then automatically it just goes out in the mail. Your signature's on it, and it gets delivered to the client or to the opposing counsel like it should. And it doesn't matter if you need to send it as regular first-class mail or certified mail. This solution really just allows you to do that process without actually touching the pieces of paper involved.
So let's talk about what that looks like tactically, right? So, I think I have a vision in my head, and I know that we've talked a bit about what it was, but if you can at least take us through at a very high level the steps, right, for how we go from I need to have a letter to the letter is in the mail.
All right, so you've identified the need to produce a document. Hopefully you've got a template that you're starting off of, and you're doing a merge through the Docrio merge assistant tool. That's going to bring in all the pertinent case information for you, the party that the document is going to go to, and their mailing address, and all of those, those basic things. And then you're going to have either dictated the letter, or you'll have given your staff some instruction on what needs to be typed, or maybe you're typing the letter yourself. At the end, you're going to end up with a formed document that's ready to go in the mail. Print ready, right? Just like you were going to hit the print button on your computer and you were going to fold it and stuff it in an envelope yourself. At that point, that's where the process really starts to diverge. Instead of printing the document, you just simply save it and you close it. And then you have a few buttons that you click inside of Litify, and it sends it off to a mail house that gets it done for you.
Wow. So, and I imagine you guys have anywhere between several hundred to a few thousand of these templates available?
As far as like merge templates go, yeah, we're probably close to 1,500, maybe 2,000 right now.
Wow. And then so that makes this process just dynamic, right? Whatever a user wants to create, they go to Docrio, they just simply choose the letter that they want or multiple letters that they want. And I guess if they want to have it in hand, they just merge it and press print. But now they have a new option where instead of merging it and pressing print, they merge it and it just sends off to someone to handle the mail.
Right. And if you want to send it to multiple recipients at the same time, you just pick the multiple people who need to get paper copies of it from the list of associated people on the matter, and it will send an individual letter to each one of them for you.
Wow. So you're leveraging not just, you've really combined the contact feature as well, right? So you're leveraging all the different roles related to the matter for all of those contacts. And you've married that with Docrio in a meaningful way so that you can say, I need, X letter with Y role or X letter with A, B, C, and D roles. And with a couple of clicks, what used to take, I guess the merge process was there beforehand, but the mail process was fairly laborious. You'd have to select them, you'd have to print it, fold it, stuff it, address it, stamp it. You've now completely shifted that to an outsourced provider so that day or night, that mail is going to get handled.
Yeah, 100%. And because it's integrated with the Litify contact component, if you needed to make a change on the fly, it's as easy as double clicking on that contact and making the minor adjustment that maybe you need in order to send the piece of mail. For example, a lot of insurance companies centralize their receipt of mail. So when you're sending it to an adjuster, you don't necessarily pick the adjuster's address from the list. You maybe have to pick the centralized mailing address and then add the adjuster's name to the letter before it goes out.
Like a care of. Wow, that's startlingly simple, I guess. And the provider that you use, just to touch on that for a moment, you said they're based out of Atlanta. So I guess this is running probably I know mail doesn't run 7 days a week necessarily, but I guess the process runs 7 days a week. There's no such thing as coming into the office anymore on a Monday and having to take care of this stuff.
No, in fact, the facility we're using, although the company's headquartered out of Atlanta, the mailing facility is in Las Vegas. So as long as we submit our documents to be printed by 5 o'clock Eastern time, it gets postmarked and guaranteed delivered to the post office on the same business day.
Wow.
So you've got a deadline. You can literally work up until 5 o'clock and still get it out today without really having to stress about it.
So you've actually gained a day on mail.
Not completely gained a day, but you've certainly gained a few hours. Yeah. And
I know
last minute runs to the post office that maybe you have to do right now.
Our audience probably has a ton of questions about both the process and the technology. For those of you who are watching, please, whether you're on YouTube, on our website, on LinkedIn, or on Facebook, we could see all of your comments, all of your questions. Please let us know that you're watching. Tell us where you're watching from. Drop any questions here for Dove, for Ryan, and we'll be sure to answer them here live in real time as they're asked. So we actually do have a question. Someone asked, can you do a merge letter across many matters?
Very, very shortly. So actually, it'll give us a chance to talk about Docrio specifically here. We released V2 of our Docrio product actually yesterday, which includes a bunch of enhancements, including an incoming mail feature, which I want to touch about here with Ryan. We call Doc Assign, a way that incoming mail can come in and get assigned. V3, which is our next release, will include the ability to do what you've just referred to as sort of a multi-merge, a single letter across many matters, so that if you want to do some sort of mass mailing, that is coming very, very soon. But to talk about the incoming mail piece, what we're calling DocAssign, in our V2, which we just released yesterday, we introduced a new feature, which I know, Ryan, you're using an outsourced mail provider to bring that mail in, right? So that you're effectively routing all of your mail, at least for one office, I think, right? You're routing all of the mail to this facility. They open it, scan it, sort it, and send it out to where it goes. But for some of your smaller offices or for other customers, the new feature we released yesterday allows your internal mailroom to take in the mail, scan it. It all comes to one centralized location inside of Litify, and you can then send it to where it needs to go. The feature is called DocAssign. I think we're going to be having more content published on it shortly, but that's now available to any of our Docrio customers. It's now available a way for you to have your own sort of private mailroom.
Yep. We also have OCR functionality, right, Dove? It is part of the Docrio platform. We have a question now coming from Sarah, asking you specifically to walk through that incoming mail process because they're very interested in the OCR functionality in Docrio.
Sure. So, Ryan, I think this might be what you're doing in some of your smaller offices where you're not routing it to a secure facility. I think this is somewhat similar to what you guys are doing. But the way in which Docrio handles incoming mail is it links to a local file location. So any user can actually link their account to a local file location. So even if you have multiple users with desktop scanners, they can simply scan whatever they want to a local location, and it's going to automatically show up inside of Litify. They're going to go to the feature is called DocAssign. They're going to come to the page. They're going to see everything that they've scanned into that folder. They can preview it right on the page. They can assign it to a matter. They can give it a folder, what we're calling a category and a subcategory, and instantly assign it to any matter or any record in the system, whether it's an expense or a medical record request. They can simply just take that piece of mail, go from scanner to the system with relative ease pretty quickly, as a matter of fact. And again, because Docrio is native, we're able to leverage the ability to build, these firms, a lot of our firms are building their own alerts on top of it. So when mail comes in, to be able to alert a user that they have a piece of mail to review.
This is interesting because we were intending and talking so much about how we handle outbound mail, and all the questions that I see coming in on the live stream right now are all about incoming mail. We do have one about from North Carolina. Does the document system have the ability for mail merge, like some of the other competing document management platforms or document generation platforms?
It sure does. Right now, Ryan, I think you touched on that, right? The ability when your staff merges letters out.
Yeah,
right?
we have letters already. We've been doing that since the first day we were live on Docrio.
Yep. So you go to any matter or any record you want, choose the letter you want, or letters. You can do multiple letters at the same time, right? You could put in what we call a packet, and you can merge those out. And then the question we addressed earlier was that's multiple letters across a single matter. The inverse of that, single letter across multiple matters, will be available very, very soon.
And right behind that is going to be the ability to merge those directly into the mail.
Correct. And in our new feature, I should touch on here also, we've added link sharing. So, Ryan, I don't know if you guys have even taken advantage, seeing as how this actually dropped yesterday, but in the latest release of Docrio, talking about, right, John, we want to talk about the outgoing side, we've added the ability to create secure links that are publicly accessible, so that I can create a link to a document. And even if I obviously we can still put things in the mail, but if I want it to be a bit more instant than that, I can create a link, I can give it an expiration date and password protect it, and then send that externally. So I can now, this is something that I've heard from a lot of firms for demands. Insurance companies used to make you mail them, then they went and some of them allowed you to burn them to a CD. I'm sure you remember those days, Ryan. Then some were really advanced that I put on a USB drive. Those were the real advanced ones. But now some of them are taking them just in any sort of digital form you can. So now we can take whatever that entire demand packet is that you're creating, you can simply put it behind a link, put a password on it, and send it out to the adjuster. Right? I think you guys recently launched something around digital demands.
We did.
As well, right?
We did, yeah. Yeah, that's primarily around email delivery of those demands. I don't think we're leveraging the link feature functionality yet,
Well, just came out yesterday, so
yeah, I'm assuming that once we get to look at the API, we'll figure out how to use that and send those out with the link instead.
Yep.
And I think this conversation about the next thing that is possible, right? We're constantly releasing new versions. Stove mentioned we released a new version yesterday. We have another version that's coming out in a few months. Let's talk a little bit about what is the next thing for you, Ryan, and how you're going to iterate on what you've already built. We've talked about sending stuff out through first class, through priority mail. I believe you're also sending out today, correct?
Certified, electronic certified return receipt. So the next steps for us there is we want to look at how can we leverage some of those e-notary platforms that are out there possibly. Mm-hmm. We want to look at how can we leverage maybe a FedEx or a UPS for overnight mail delivery when those situations are really appropriate. But even aside from that, we want to look at all of our business processes from start to finish, from opening packets that we need to mail out on every case that are pretty much the same merge packet. Maybe it's a multi-merge letter where we're doing a couple of different merge documents that we put together and send out to every client. We also want to look at all of our turndown processes. Once the attorney has had that phone call discussing the case and doing a soft turndown with the client, what we want to do is actually trigger the mail out letter to automatically go to the client with the form turndown letter. It can go out both first class mail, and a copy of it can go out certified. And it really hasn't taken any extra time or effort on our staff side to be thorough like we should.
So those things are two really, really fascinating ideas. Because those are definitely, human capital intensive, right? And we could touch on the turndown process for a minute. I assume the process at the firm involves an attorney reviewing. They probably have to get some sort of sign off on it.
Yeah.
Then a staff member has to prepare the letter. The attorney's got to sign it. Then they got to put it in the mail. It's a lot of motions for a piece of letter.
Yeah, when you iterate through it, it's a lot of time that gets invested on every single one of those.
I know that we're introducing, again, in the next version of Docrio, we're introducing the ability to auto-merge via a link, which was going to solve this scenario for you, Ryan. You talk about this as your business process, the area you guys want to get to next. Our next on near-term roadmap is that auto-merge via link so that you can create a process yourselves, right? The firm can do it on their own, whatever your process is. Whenever that process completes, whatever signifies that, the field that gets filled out or process that gets completed, you can simply automatically merge a letter out without a user even clicking to create the form. They can simply automatically merge that letter entirely behind the scenes.
Yeah, and then as soon as the merge is finished, we want to be able to do something with the document. Maybe it's email it out with a secure link. Maybe we want to mail it. Maybe we need to get it notarized. But we want to take all of these steps and take the human element away and really distill it down to just the need that needs to be accomplished and the single action that can be done to get it there. HIPAA authorization forms is a great example for us. We're constantly having to mail those out. So we're launching one-click HIPAA is a feature that we're calling it internally for Litify. So you can look at any case or you can look at any party and click a single button, and it's going to merge a HIPAA form for that person and automatically drop it in the mail to them. And
That's
we need it because hospitals in Florida, at least, still want wet signatures on their HIPAA forms.
And with the volume that you have, you're probably doing thousands of these, if not tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So depending on how a firm wants the process to run, this is really the power of what you can do with the platform, right? You define your process, you build your rules within the Litify platform around that process, and then you automate it, right? You reduce the number of manual steps that people have to follow in order to be able to really do the same thing over and over, and you become more efficient. You're able to run your law firm like a true business. Again, we were talking before we went live about the art of the possible, right? Some of the things that you're talking about here, they're really they start with processes and things that you want to be able to optimize, and then it's just what's the best way to build it? Not can we do it, but how do we do it?
Yeah, focus on the business outcome that you want, and the technology is there to allow you to do it.
Absolutely. And the to me, again, coming a bit from the technology side, the coolest part about it is that you can do it yourself, right? Years past, you would have an idea, you'd have to submit it as a request or hire a developer and go through some pretty arduous steps. to get this done. Or sometimes it wouldn't be possible, right? You would talk to your product vendor and they would say, look, that's a great idea, but we're just not going to build it. I think right now, first of all, I'm agreeing. I would love to build these things. These are great ideas. But even if we don't, you guys can simply sit down and in fairly short order put this together on your own, as you've done to date.
Yeah, I think we put the outbound mail component together in under 2 weeks from concept to being implemented.
Wow. So, Dove, Ryan, maybe you can help some of our audience, which we do have a large audience watching us live right now. Those of you who are watching the recording, we'll have many there as well. But let's give some actionable advice to help some of the smaller firms that maybe don't have the resources that a large firm has. Let's say they want to take their first step into automating direct mail, right? Outbound direct mail. How would they go about doing that? Dove, I'll let you start here, and Ryan, you can expand.
Sure. So I think it starts with, again, and there's some proof of concept that we have and can certainly help discuss this. I've worked through some ideas on our side, kind of taking this concept and how anybody can sort of build it on their own. But everything is there inside of Litify. So what we just need to do is a way to collect all of the different documents in one place. And then collect all of the different role records, right? Now, ideally, you do it by matter. So within a matter, you go in and you have a screen where you have all your documents, and then you have a screen where you have all of your roles. And it's simply selecting the one you want. Now, we can put together a quick flow to be able to handle this so that you can, at a bare minimum, create the record representing the piece of mail. And this way you're collecting it in your own queue, if you will. So whether you have someone who's focused full-time on the mailroom, right? I know you guys have several mailroom employees. Or some of our small firms might have someone who pulls double duty. At the end of the day, they go ahead and handle the mail. What we want to do is take all of the different requests that a staff member might have during the day, instead of having them stop what they're doing and print it on the spot, or stop what they're doing, print it on the spot, put it in the envelope, mail it. We want them to just simply create a record inside of Litify that represents that this mail needs to happen. And then whoever tackles the mail at that point in time now has a queue they can go into. It's some manual steps, but it's going to drastically reduce the amount of time between I need this mailed and it actually gets put into an envelope.
Right.
Oh yeah, and you've got
the record being stored
at that point too. You know who's responsible for having produced that letter. You know who's supposed to be printing it, and you know who put it in the envelope at the end of the day.
Yep. And again, it's all reportable, right? Who asked for the mail to be done? Who actually printed that letter out? You can have a little mail dashboard so that if you're managing this process, again, Ryan, you mentioned talking about business processes. What's the outcome? Efficiency in the mailroom. Even if you have someone on staff that's doing it, if you have a way to run a report or a dashboard that says, this is the mail that was supposed to go out today, this is the mail that did go out today. The fact that you can now represent what is actually something physical in a digital representation gives you a tremendous leg up on that business process.
Oh, and it's transparency that no mailrooms have ever had historically either. I mean, everybody thinks that their mailroom gets their stuff out at the end of the day, but I can't tell you how many times I've walked into one of our mailrooms and seen a bucket of mail that was just kind of like stashed in the corner, maybe an empty one placed on top of it to kind of hide that there was still mail that needed to be processed. But the guys just wanted to go home that day. It was 5 o'clock on a Friday and they were done. In this process, it's so transparent. You have just the visibility into absolutely everything that's going on and in real time.
Yep. And you could base, again, staffing and business needs on it. If you realize that you have no mail on Monday, but the mail on Friday has larger volume, you can shift hours, you can staff differently based around the information that you're getting inside of Litify.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the firms out there that want to take the next step, they can use a platform like Docrio on top of Litify to be able to build the documents, print the documents, and then maybe manually send them out, as opposed to some of the automation with the APIs to automatically send out the direct mail. So no, this is fantastic. I think that
many of our current customers that are listening, if you have any questions around this process, I know Morgan, the firm, you guys are always more than gracious with your time and what you're giving people. But here internally at Litify, again, I'm happy to, and our staff here are happy to help help enable and help show you guys how to build or create something on your own that can really help with this process, as well as talk about some of the new things we have with Docrio on the incoming side. I know we touched a bit more on that than we initially thought, but I think it's a great topic, and I'm happy that we were able to get that out in front of people here. So any questions, comments, concerns, whether it's for Litify directly, or if you'd like to hear more from other customers, like I said, we're happy to jump in.
Yep, and there's a few ways that people can go ahead and do that. Head on over to litify.com if you are watching live on any of our social media channels, litify.com/Docrio to learn about our Docrio platform. Go ahead, follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube. You'll get real-time push notifications when we go live. We also have a Slack community. If you'd like to actually interact with Dove and myself and various other subject matter experts in legal and legal technology, go to litify.com/LitiQuest. and sign up for our free Slack community. Ryan will send you an invite as well. You should join us in there. Those of you watching live, we do have a great lineup for the rest of the week. We have Chris Dreyer, CEO of Rankings.io, talking about digital marketing for personal injury firms. On Thursday, we have Sam Pond from Pond Lahaki. And then on Friday, we have Keith Mitnick from Morgan & Morgan joining us to talk specifically about trial strategy. So a great lineup for LitiCast. We do recommend that you subscribe so you can get these notifications about all of our upcoming broadcasts. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us. Really, very much appreciate it. Dove, thank you. And we will see everyone on the next LitiCast tomorrow with Chris. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
See you guys.